Hey guys, welcome back. Um, I wanted to go back to my conversation from earlier when I got home, about the Goat movie. I looked up more in detail about the movie and stuff. Like, don't worry, we're still gonna do Hunter Call of the Wild tonight. I promised you all from the other night that I was gonna go out. There's some European bison, American alligator, um, and a red deer to add to my Leighton Lake trophy lodge. Um, but what I actually wanted to tell you all now is that I wanted to tell you that each of the characters in Goat so I often, I mean, yes, I like animated movies. I did definitely as a kid. Some people state that and I'm going to state this more as animation is for everybody. Whether you like it in other formats, being adult animation, animation that could be for younger audiences, animation is for everyone to enjoy. That's the key. And it doesn't really matter what it is, what it consists of, as long as you enjoy it. That is the big outcome of it. And income is you like what you see, you like what you observe, and you like what, as I said, typically the outcome is you like what you saw. But I mean, those are things you can also state towards the end of the movie. You like the plot, you like the characters, you kind of like the setting of where the movie take. It could be multiple settings in different scenes, where scene to scene, different settings. I mean, this movie is very unique, and it really, because a lot of movies don't have necessarily a a full on, I mean, basically these characters in the movie all have different personalities, and that's what I really like about movies, is each character is well has their own personality. It's just like how we function in a community or in a team or in any kind of sport or team effort, um in a group or a team, of how we have our own personalities when it comes to things. And what I really like, that the structure, like a big chunk of the structure for the movie, is each character have their own personality. Um and it could be, obviously it could be more than one personality, which a lot of these characters have. Not so much what they do in the team, but personality, because you can state of what their role is in the team, but when you look deep into a character's personality, then you kind of like awaken what's the truth behind that character, whether it's a character that is fictional or non-fictional. Um, but I feel like this movie might even have a bit of more realistic plot. Since it's an underdog story. Um, I mean, I feel like this is definitely something you would see with people, but the fact that the animation and the idea of it was, let's keep it basketball, but let's replace people with animals. So, and the animation I noticed in the trailers are much different than what you would see in like Zootopia. What is it? DreamWorks that made the Madagascar movies. There's a lot of animal themed movies out there that are animated. Finding Nemo, Over the Hedge was one of my favorite ones. That was an overrated movie. It did not have a sequel. Um, that was one of my favorites. It was with all of like the woodland critters, over the hedge, meaning that they were over the hedge in the wood area, and if they entered like human and like it was called Over the Hedge because half the hedge was woods where they belong, and then the other was like a neighborhood, like a big stretch of like people finding, pests. It was almost like pests being a nuisance. I thought that was a really great movie, and it was, a movie DreamWorks did where it was one of a kind. It didn't at all have a sequel. It did have like a little, what is it, like short of the squirrel Hammy, which was voiced by Steve Carell, who also played Gru in Despicable Me. But it's funny, the RJ the raccoon was voiced by Bruce Willis. Um, but yeah, there was, and then that's right, Wanda Sykes voiced Stella the skunk. But anyways, this movie, I like animation on. Yes, the main focus of the movie is basketball, but do you ever often? I mean, I love this about animated movies. Um, a lot. Especially that are a bit, or really that have animals, or the animals are more of what motivates the movie. um because we're also part of the movie. We're voicing these animals because animals, as we know, can't talk of how they feel or talk about, their personality. So movies that are animation that is based off of voice acting and having these ideas in the director's mind of, okay, this is going to be the plot, this is going to be the setting. um it's very, for me, it's an expansive genre of being classified as movies, meaning that creativity is one of the biggest words that comes to animation, and that includes creativity within the script, the plot of the movie, the characters. What is this? What, are we using animals? Are we using people? Are we using something else? This movie is very interesting, and it's really drawing my attention in because yes, they do have Puppy Bowl and Cat Bowl and things like that on Animal Planet, but this is an animated movie. This isn't on real time, but it tells the story of an underdog basketball rookie who goes from rookie to hero to maybe even legend or basketball star. But in this case, it's in the form of animals with voice acting from people. That's what animation is that a big majority of it is voice acting, coming up with characters, creating the names of each character. Being creative is animation's, I feel like, best counterpart. But if you want to cover voice acting, plots, antagonists, Easter eggs, anything that is all based off of creativity and deep thought, deep consideration, and deep motivation as well. Um, but I love movies that include something like this, where as people, as we can describe our own personalities or our own feelings or actions towards people we know, movies also have that power to do it. Media has that power to do it. Even if we're speaking through the media to our character, because what brings a character alive is what we bring to this character. They state fitting the character. Yes, I agree with fitting the character. And I feel like there's definitely multiple characters you can, that you might even your personality might be able to branch out onto every single character in the movie, or maybe a good majority of them, maybe a single character. But I do know in life that you're not always going to, like, when you're in a musical, you're not always going to get the role that you want. The role you will get is the role you're going to get. And knowing the character, being that character, is part of the creativity behind production. But for me, this movie I feel like is going to go extremely far, even though it was just, I'll have to look to see how many reviews it got to see if it made any, how much, but let's look that up because I'm quite interested. How much money did the movie Goat make in the box office?
The movie Goat has made approximately $190.3 million dollars at the global box office. Of that, $103.2 million was from domestic theaters and $87.1 million
Wow.
internationally. Are there any other animated movies you'd like to know about? Tap
No.
the mic and ask, what are some other animated movie releases?
So, as mid of April 2026, Goat has grossed approximately, wow, $1,090.3 million at the global box office, with $103.2 million from domestic U.S. theaters and $87.1 million internationally. The animated feature, featuring themes about basketball, passed 100 million domestically, becoming a notable success. I mean, that is incredible success. But it says data indicates the film has performed strongly, with some reports noting it's considered a success in its category. But I feel like a big key in that was each character, and that's the thing, is in a movie like that, to make it top dollar, to make it strong, is personality, especially being an animated movie associated with animals, and finding an interesting way of introducing animal or animation into something that is reality, that is real life, like being, being going from something, the beginning, being a rookie, and growing, enhancing above the level. But each personality, as we know in life, or multiple personalities that we have, can have an impact on what we do and have a drive either of success or failure. And I feel like this movie is a great example of that. I haven't seen it myself. I'm planning to see it hopefully when it comes in June on Netflix, but it sounds like it will be also moving to Hulu. Actually, Disney Plus and Hulu, which they're kind of a bundle now. They're together, so but you can, I think, still get Hulu as a single streaming service. I'm not quite sure about that now, since it's been with Disney Plus for a while. Um, but I'm gonna go through each character's personality, so we don't have the full lineup of characters that are featured in the film. These are probably the main five. I would say I will not leave out Lenny the giraffe, which is played by a basketball legend, Steph Curry, and the ostrich. I can't remember her name, but personality in animated movies is one of the best things we can get from animation. Each character has their own stories, has their own plots of how where they found themselves, where they are, and really sharing them amongst who they are with in the movie. Maybe not as much as others, but I'm gonna start. So I'm gonna start. We'll start with the character that this movie really is about, which is we'll start with Will Harris, the goat, the main guy, the main antagonist, main character in the film. Um, and I thought, you know, reading these personalities with the different animals, I wish they hadn't included like the ostrich and Steph Curry's character as minifigures, but we might even get lucky and get like a series too. But I don't know. Um, the movie, as I said, is already released. It released back. What was it in February? I don't know if it was delayed, but it said it was released in February. Um, but let's see, Will Harris. So Will Harris is voiced by Caleb McLaughlin. He is optimistic, hardworking, and resilient. But they describe him as optimistic and determined, despite being the small guy, as they would call the small fry, and facing doubts. Will Will remains focused on becoming a rollerball hero and making his idol proud. I would say I definitely, my personality is like that. Like when I create music, like today when we ordered out for dinner, I had asked about, I heard some live music in the bar where we ordered dinner in Freiburg, and I found out that they do shows there every week, and they do open mic nights every Monday. So I had asked if you need like special permission to come, but they open the doors to the public, meaning that anybody can play, and they do these shows every week. Mondays are typically open mic nights, but they have live bands come every night. They said they've had country bands come and play, rock bands, hip hop and rap groups. And then Monday they have an open mic. So so honestly, I might land myself some bar gigs there, hopefully. But again, I know I'm motivated to do that, even if I have to do it by myself. Um, But that's the thing, is optimistic and determined. I'm determined to go to Leo's as long as I ask Leo and tell him exactly what I do, what my music background looks like. Um, Despite me not having connections here in Freiburg, you know, I'm facing a lot of things right now that some people may not be able to ever get out of, or think I've always thought in my life that I'm stuck in these phases. I'm stuck with who I'm with. I'm stuck where I am. There's no escape. But since this just kind of opened my mind more, so that Freiburg, Freiburg, they love their country music. They love older country music. But it sounds like, from when I talked to the waitress when she was getting my order ready, is that they have rock groups come in, and she said, they play pretty loud. So I don't know if sound is an issue for them, but sometimes you have to play your heart out. That's what they say in music. Um, but I don't want to necessarily become a hero in the music industry. I mean, I want to be more as somebody else's idol, or really somebody who struggles finding an escape, but knowing to teach others that if you are ever in that area of not being able to escape from something, know that you can, and sometimes the opportunities are right in front of you. Even if things change for the good, and they can change for the bad, as we all know. Because I don't know if Freiburg would ever, as I said, all you have to do is ask. All you have to do is ask questions, and the more questions you ask about things, the more straight answers you will get. Sometimes you have to force answers out of people if they do give you nonsense, but sometimes people don't tell you the full truth. Um, and that's on them. That's not on you. That's not on anybody. But I definitely feel like I'm Will in a lot of ways, where despite despite myself being an only child, I've faced a lot of challenges. I faced a lot of doubt, that, like, because for me, doubts are like, well, if you put yourself out there, you could be getting destroyed. Now, those are people that have less faith, less confidence in you, stating that they believe, or in their own opinion, that you won't be able to make it. You won't make it. You will always you will always I mean, but people will depict it by height, by race, by sexuality, religion, but it's not anything to be ashamed of. But music was not a dream of mine, but it was really a movement of feeling like you don't belong, feeling, not so much feeling that you're tiny in size, but you feel so small in a setting that is extremely small. And sometimes you want to have more area to thrive and exist. But that's how I've always thought growing up. But I mean, the thing is, I don't have an idol. I mean, I want to make sure I'm out there teaching kids, people younger in younger generations, older generations know that they can still go out or enjoy something they might have liked back in the day, or really that are older. I always state to them, keep doing that hobby, keep doing that thing, because sometimes when you pass away, you won't be able to do those things again. You'll be able to dream them. I mean, yes, you will be able to do them, but in spirit. Whereas in reality, in your physical form, enjoy that time. Enjoy that time by being driven and motivated, because time passes by and it passes quick. Hardworking and resilient with Will, he is shown constantly training and practicing, overcoming setbacks and trying to earn his place on the team. But for me, growing up, I don't even remember as a kid. I don't think I ever had that mindset of like, because when I thought about being a rock star and being a musician, those are two different things. Because for me, rock stars have the money. Let's just say they earn the money, or yeah, they receive and give the money to perform. But rock stars are always involved in something related to currency, whereas musicians, because when I think of rock stars, that I mean, you would be surprised of how many bands that weren't even labeled rock stars, but more as as musicians. A lot of bands, I would say, depending on the bands, some perform in bars, some single artists, musicians specifically, perform in bars. But bars are places where a band or an artist might start their career and work something. Sometimes it's Broadway. There's many things that can rise above your skill level when it comes to music. Whether you want to pursue the money in being a rock star, for me, are the ones rock stars and musicians all coexist in a stadium. Some odds are unlikely, some are, but I find myself more as somebody who who's, really who is musical by blood, but also this could be my chance where I could be an icon in Freiburg, especially knowing that I took drum lessons behind Freiburg Academy. And really, drumming was the main instrument I was always good at. Learning a bunch of technique, because for me, I was taught technique before anything. Reading music notes. There's many people that state that they don't even know how to read music notes. But sometimes I feel like those people haven't really tried or made an effort. I mean, yes, I understand that sometimes you listen by ear and you're like, oh, but many of us don't always consider musical theory or creative ways to approach music with. For me, I've always approached music, mathematics, what is it, geological ways, geometry, especially when it comes to tuning an instrument. Um, I think of geometry, I think of math a lot. But when you get into those things with music, you discover more. You discover what maybe a lot of us don't quite understand, or you I mean really it's for you to discover. But quite frankly, the whole music side of me, I feel like Will is definitely one of the characters I'm I'm like, because, overcoming. But I remember ever since after drum lessons I trained and I practiced drums, and people often ask me if I'm still playing to this day, and I say yes. I still play because I have a lot of times I there's other things I enjoy doing, but music is going to the gym every day. It's the soul of notes that brings you to the gym every day. It's a workout. But I could state that I want to earn my place in ACDC, which I would say 90% that will be inaccurate. I'm not really, as I said, I don't specifically want to be in any band, but I want to earn my place as being a musician that believes in, or really not so much believes, but knows that any approach you take in music will lead you into success. It might lead you into things that you're not comfortable doing or being. It's the matter of knowing, here's what I want to do, here's how determined I am to get there. This is really the effort I'm going to put into it. But that's how you earn your place on the team. I would say I am emotional, so if I do hear, I get emotional with, when it comes like Will, he get sometimes when you're impacted, because it sounds like Will is out to chase his dreams to make his idol proud. In this movie, his idol is his mom. I kind of feel like that's where he refers to as idol, or they refer to by idol. But I think for me, playing at Freiburg House of Pizza is gonna start a legacy, but I think it's gonna honor the memory of my uncle Everett, even my mom, and anybody in my family that passes away. I mean, I don't. A lot of people, most people don't deal with loss very good. Depending on, the culture and the effect, we all deal with loss differently. We might grieve differently, but it doesn't change that we can't or can be deeply affected by those things. But I never made a promise to my family. I earned the Medal of Honor in 2010 for the best outfit in a parade. I was dressed up as Elvis. But here it's not going to be so much the memory of Elvis. It's going to be the memory of rock and roll as a child, and people that have moved in the area say it has died, that it's dead. Somebody that speaks about bar concerts having no rock music and it's just country music, people are bullshitting you at that point. There's rock bands that play there. There's people who will play alone and create original music, improvise, making something up during that show, which is exactly what I might even do is improv the whole thing, the whole show. It's one of my best skills I know how to do is when you perform, sometimes you go in without even a plan. For me, it's the physical aspect of just playing, not thinking about it, but just having a guitar or or behind a keyboard, behind a bass guitar, behind drums, play. Play as 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 you would play music, but play, I would say, play hard, but also play nice with management. But play like an underdog. Play like an underground underdog. Because bar shows, could lead you to instant fame or instant recognition. But the more underground you are, underground's a good thing. Because those who develop fame and they consume fame are often kicked off from people who are underground. And I will not give any examples of that. But also being loyal to your teammates, your family, your loved ones is also very important. Could things change in my family that are more severe than they are now? Absolutely. Absolutely. But my parents taught me to live my life every day until my last breath, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And you do that by acting on doing it. But my uncle Everett was the sergeant in Freiburg. Um, and not only is this a place that I want to do my gigs, but the owner, Leo, him and his wife are from Germany, and Leo had a really close bond with my uncle. I mean, I remember before he passed away, he brought breakfast or pizza to the house for everyone and breakfast and everything. So, but that's the thing is Leo opened up that restaurant when Everett was sergeant. So, I wasn't born then, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter really how people react towards you, or I mean it does. It does. It has an impact. But if they're not sure how to speak to you or how you would respond, that's within a question. That's within deep thought, and that's within like acting act, but if I have to live in Freiburg until I'm done with these bar gigs, until Freiburg knows exactly what I stand for and the people that were here, my motivation is immortal to what people think of me maybe now or don't see in me. You'll see it for yourself through recorded video, footage, or being in person at these shows. I'm doing this alone. What? No! What do you want, buddy? What do you want, bud? What do you want, bud? What, you want Mimi? What do you want, buddy? Show me. Come on, let's go. Thor, we're not going out so you can play with your phone. out though.
I saw one, was it yesterday when I was filling up the truck?
Yeah,
During the day,
yeah.
kind of flew over. They're not really fucking with you, they're after bugs.
Right, they're
also.
after mosquitoes.
I don't know if they, I would imagine they eat moths too. We haven't had too many bugs out really this year, it's too much. Some, but.
Think of all the hard work I do to stay out. I do mean hard. I'll pick you up some ducks it's like when I'm in town. Kill whatever fuck your snatch caught. Thanks. Would you also get me a toothbrush? I hate
Yep.
to keep using yours.
There's bats outside. They're not reptiles. You know that, right? They have fur, but sorry guys. I had a really freaky encounter, but I had a bat swoop down, but we have a couple in our like chimney, but they one of them swooped down like not too far from where my head is. I was on the decks to when Thor went out, and I had a bat swoop down, and they're after the bugs. They're not after like people or anything. They eat moths and smaller, but like mosquitoes. But as we were going on about Will for me is definitely a character that honors his family, and is living, is really doing this to earn his place, and honor honoring his mom, her, and that he has a heart over size mentality, meaning that determination matters more than physical stature, meaning that, which is very, I will say, for a lot of people, it can, I mean, if you're just, having that determination based off of your posture and not your emotions, then, but that's what I think they're referring to as having the underdog spirit. Like, your emotions, your actions, and your physical posture should be last. Um, Whereas, your mentality, when it comes to anything like that, your actions and things that, emotions have to be in check. They can be balanced, but in life, that's how they always should be. But next, so that's Will. That's Will's personality, but I feel like Will is one of the characters that I have most traits of. But we're gonna move on to you know what, we'll save the other crew for last. So we're gonna go with the villain, the main. So this is the thing where I avoid this at all costs, of mocking people, harassing people in a bad manner, bad way, I should say. Um, Obviously focused on winning than losing. That's a thing in life you always have to keep in mind, is you are gonna obviously have your losses, and you're gonna have your wins. You're gonna come out with things that are good, and you might have things that that will suck, but those are you brush them off. You don't show an ego or anything, but unfortunately, our what is his name? Main attraction. That's right. Not maintenance. Main attraction is this guy's name. But this is the horse that is not so. Another thing in the movie is he has his own team called, what is it, the Lava something, whereas the characters here, including Lenny the giraffe and the ostrich, are all part of the Thorns team. But main attraction, his personality is obvious. I will say for an arch attack or really attacker, and I would say more of like he's more relying on like self, what is it, oh, like self-centered, um fame, beating everybody he can, like winning, winning, winning. This is what all this guy is about. A true winner, where as we state, physical posture of how to win isn't going to get you the victory all the time. And that's another thing with main attraction, is that physical posture. He thinks with his overconfidence, his overlooked mock, the fact that he kind of judges, Will on how small he is, how he's a goat, blah blah. It's the same thing with you when you have an ego, or you are bullying someone due to their race, their sexuality, maybe even their height. It's never okay to do that. But main attraction. He's confident, smug, and competitive. He looks down to people who or who think that can beat him. He refers to himself as a pony soprano. That's actually an accurate So, yeah, it says here he's dominant, arrogant, and highly competitive. He serves as the central antagonist, as the MVP and captain of the Lava Court Magmas. So that's the team he is on. He is incredibly focused, often brutal, and mocks weaker players, bullies other players, making him a major obstacle for the protagonists. But he is extremely confident and smug, meaning he thrives on his drive and status of being the league's top player. He's arrogant and relentless. He is a fierce competitor who looks down on others, meaning that he's the bully. He thinks he's the big dog going up against Will and the others. Like looking down, meaning that He's looking down because he thinks he's the top. Intimidating antagonist, he actively disrupts and mocks his rivals. But inspired by villains, character design was partially inspired by real world villain personalities like Dylan Brooks. His character acts as a big that intimidates others on the court, embodying a superior, unstoppable, smalls can't ball mentality. So I get that. So he describes himself as superior. He's above all odds. He's above everybody else. And obviously tries to destroy smaller people or animals that can't ball and picks on their weakness. So, but yeah, that I definitely can't see myself as main attraction. But we've got three other characters that are part of Will's team. We've got Jet Fillmore, Mondo, and Archie the Rhino. Next up, we'll go with So one thing I know about Moto that I remember about reading his personality is he's very dorky, meaning that the harassment he gives to people, it's more humorous. Um, whoops. And pulls tricks that are funny to him, but he's more of like the prankster, I feel like, in the team. But he's the most aggressive player on the team. Um, Moto. And he's played by Nick. Who is it? Nick. Nick Kroll. Voiced by Nick Kroll. But yeah, Moto Olekno is a fire breathing, eccentric Komodo dragon character voiced by Nick Kroll. He looks very goofy. He looks like an animated version of like something like Killer Croc. If they were to make like an inaccurate animated Killer Croc, I feel like, or even like Leatherhead from the Ninja Turtles, or like Mondo Gecko. I would say more like Leatherhead. I feel like Moto would be a good, even though Moto's his own character. So I hate to even compare other. So I'm not gonna do that. Moto Olenko personality. But he is personality. He's a flamboyant, vain, and fiercely loyal Komodo dragon. Um, who serves as the new owner of the Vinland Thorns. So he's actually the owner of the team, or owns the title, or something like that. But he's characterized as a weird, energetic, and arrogant athlete who embraces his emotions, engages in intense self expression through dancing, and serves as a mentor to his teammates. Okay, that's really cool. So he's like Mr. Miyagi, because it sounds like he's more of a teacher. Like he's going to like teach. Maybe he'll even like teach Will. Obviously, he might even be the mentor to Will in the movie. Um, I think he's really cool. I will say Mondo. I think is like in as far as the minifigures, he's probably the second best looking. But I really like the fact that he's holding the ball with his tail, which is very because all the other, I mean, except for Archie, Archie doesn't have a basketball. He's more in like a guarded stance or more of like a charging stance, like you would see a Rhino. Um, Whereas like Will, Main Attraction, and Jet Fillmore have their basketballs on hand. Of course, Moto does as well, but his is like tucked under his tail, which I really like that. But and I like his like purple mohawk, his like jaws, like he looks really cool, and the fact like his like what it like the feel of him is a much different. It's more of like a scale, like scaly, almost like a snake or something like that, like very like reptilious, feel on this guy. But that's the thing is horses aren't reptilious, Komodo dragons are. That's the thing. But one of the most unique things I found, because Komodo dragons, yes, dragon is in their name. Lizards, so dragons were lizard. I mean, I feel like they were lizards that had wing, evolved. But that's the thing too, is like Komodo dragons. There is like legends, and I would think there's like folklore out there that you know, lore says they breathe fire, or they're I mean, they're the descendants of dragons. But the fact that Moto in the movie can actually breathe fire in being a Komodo dragon and not a medieval dragon is very interesting because it reminds me of that movie. What is it? Big Hero 6. Fred. When he gets his suit, he can breathe fire. Even though it was a suit that was allowing him to do that and not an actual animal, because the difference between something with a suit and an actual animated animal, it's different. It's very different, and it makes more realistic, makes it more realistic that this guy is a lizard, not a guy in a suit. But I mean, yes, he's wearing a jersey, but it's a jersey, it's clothing, it's not a suit. um I still think it's cool that he breathes fire in the movie. Um, I feel like that'd be kind of a cool, like maybe another like pose, or like if they do a series two out of these minifigures, they could have him like maybe shoot like like a flamethrower or something, or like kind of like do that lunge like a dragon. So he'd have like maybe drop the basketball, but like have him like leaning almost, or not leaning like that, but like lunging and like having like a big thing of fire come out of his mouth. And obviously he has a nose ring as well, like a gold nose ring, and he's got some boots on. It's funny because I want to make a really bad joke, but one of his boots looks like something. What is it? A woman would wear at a strip club. I hate to say it, but it's got like but like, yeah. but it's really cool. I love this guy a lot. Um, but I will say I'm energetic a lot of the times. When it comes to drums, I definitely am. I would say self centered. I try my best not to be. I am. I like talking about, yes, my shit that goes on in my life, but I often have learned and have been mentored that sometimes it's not always about how you feel or how you express your own life, because however you express your life is the way you're going to express it. But other people probably are going to get really upset if you just keep talking about yourself, where you want to make sure how people in your life are doing as well, making sure they're doing okay. Um, but that's what self centered is. You only talk about yourself. And I will say, it drives me crazy when people do that or they talk for long periods of time. It's very, like you're limited of what you want to say, where that person isn't letting you have the floor. I will say, for me, I am deeply loyal, meaning that I would do anything it takes to be with people that I love. Um, I definitely give heartfelt advice when I need to give heartfelt advice, when I know somebody I know is struggling, or they can't really see a view of themselves or how to react to certain things. I'm a heartfelt teammate, bandmate, that is, as well. Weird. I am weird, but everybody's weird in their own way. It's not something to be embarrassed about, to be, um, I guess, ashamed of. We're all weird. We all do weird shit. We call it WS monkeys, or WS monkey feces. But I'm very spiritual in the sense that I have people who I may not be able to talk to in their physical forms, but spiritually, I'm very expressive to wanting to understand those people more. Even if I feel self centered or am I want to catch myself in those things. And I do a lot. I don't always think of myself. I don't always, but people state that I do a lot of the time. I try really hard to not be that and to get out of that, because that's the thing. If you talk about yourself a lot, then people start getting real, they can start getting overwhelmed with it, stressed out. Flirty, not really. I would say I don't even want. As I said, I when you have people in your life, I've learned to be a lot less flirty in that way. Am I intense? I think, some of the things I do, or things that are fed to me, are intense. And it goes back to, like, when people state they can't get out of things. It can be intense. It can be something intense for you to get out of, but I always know how to get out of things. If I feel tense, if I feel tension, then that's okay. and I'm willing to release that tension on things that make me happy, that make me who I am. Competitive and fierce. I'm not competitive. If somebody upsets me or doesn't listen to me or maybe tries too hard on things, then yes, I can show a bit of I will say there's people that say they can be hard people. I am hard, but I'm really hard when I have to be. When I have to be. And that goes for everybody. You know, you don't typically are so people I know in my life aren't hard on people unless somebody forces them to be hard on them. They do things that bothers people. That's what drives the fierce in you. The fierceness, I should say. But it's really cool because Moto actually is a blue and green Komodo dragon, and he has a Russian accent. Uh oh. Looks like this guy also, so his signature moves, he's noted for breathing fire and having bad breath. Well, whatever this guy's eating, whether it's chicken, like from what I ate at the Breaking Benjamin and 3 Days Grace show, or if he's eating spinach or something that's smelly, don't let him breathe in your boundaries. So it looks like he actually took over after Flo was dismissed because Flo was the warthog that owned Thorns or that. But it looks so I'm wow, so that's really cool. So Moto actually took Flo's place as being the owner of the team. But we've got two more characters to talk about. We have Fillmore left, and we have Archie. We'll go with Archie next, which is played by David Harbour. And those of you, I'm not going to remind you again of David Harbour and movies he's been in. He's been in a lot of big time movies, big franchises. Um, but yeah, let's type in Archie. I would find like Archie. So I did so before this video is uploaded. I did do a lot of research on these characters' personalities. Archie is the one I found most interesting. Um, but he's an Indian rhinoceros, so that's good they specify on his personality. But I'm pretty sure he's the only parent in the movie. Yep. So he is a stoic, wary, and protective single father. So he's not married or widowed. He's a single father. Actually, he might be widowed if he was married. I feel like he wouldn't have his two twin girls. So he's we'll call him a widowed rhinoceros. Um, acting as a veteran enforcer, meaning that he's been doing it for a long time, that he knows what he's getting into, that he's a veteran, like he knows what's expected, um, since he's been on this team for a long time, rather than like longer than the others, like Will and Moto. It says he combines a gentle demeanor with a physically dominating rhinoceros exterior, struggling with aging in the sport while providing for his daughters and mentoring younger teammates. So yeah, Archie is another mentor. So like Moto, so Moto trained Will, I think, from what I saw or read. I wonder actually who was more of a veteran. I'm gonna say maybe both of them, but as leader, Fillmore. So all three of these guys are were already current members. Where Will is the new one. He's the new guy. But for me, Archie's personality really stood out. But he's a devoted family man. Well, actually, yeah. He's a devoted family man. I would say devoted, divorced rhinoceros. As a single father, his main focus is his daughters, often balancing his intensive roarball career with parental duties while being a parent, and his duties being a parent, a single parent. Um, that I will say I would still, I mean, that's another thing is for me, and I looked at this for a little bit. I wanted to have somebody special in my life. I didn't know exactly if I wanted that or I wanted to continue my legacy with music and not like you have to make that choice when the time is right and when it's to come. And obviously whoever you're with also has to make choices for themselves as well. But it sounds like Archie didn't really, I mean, like he has to go with the career in being a full-time parent. Um, but it says, despite being a physically imposing enforcer on the court, he is described as one of the nicest teammates, showing protective instincts towards others, protecting others against things or challenging obstacles, obviously showing them how to do it right and correctly, like being protective, being a parent that's protective, being the only parent. And it's okay to be a parent like that. My mom was like that with me for a long time. Even though I have both of my parents still around, she was definitely a protective parent. She wanted to make sure my needs were all met, you know, and things like that, that I always had a good life. And that's what parents want for their kids. That's what they want for their children, is to make sure that they're happy, to make sure they have everything that they need. And, that's the thing. When I have kids someday, I'm going to make sure everything happens for them that they need, that is provided to them. Stoic, stoic and weary, he carries himself with a quiet, brooding intensity, showing exhaustion from his career in basketball and his personal life. He values grit and experience, representing a blue collar approach to the sport. Insecure about relevance, beneath his tough exterior, he deals with vulnerability regarding his fading performance and role on the team. Um, but Archie, for me, is one of the most interesting characters. I would say he was the most interesting one I read. For being a single parent, and as I said, he's the only parent on this team. But our last character is the actually leader of this team, is Jet Fillmore, played by Americans Got Talent. I don't know if she's still a current judge, but she was with Julianne Hough, but Gabrielle Union. She was also in the movie Meet Dave with Eddie Murphy. Um, and she is a Black Panther. Well, they state her as a Black Leopard, but I think they mean Black Panther. Maybe Black Leopard. I don't know. I don't even know if there's. I'm gonna just call her Black Panther. She looks like a panther. Jet Fillmore. So Jet Fillmore is a prideful, arrogant, and highly skilled 9 feet 1 inch black leopard. So I'm trying to think. So as a 20-year veteran, so chasing her first title, she is initially dismissive, hostile, and selfish, often playing solo to prove her prime status before learning to be a team player. Meaning meaning that she often will practice by herself. She excludes herself um from the team to practice with the team. but obviously she has ego within. Sounds like the thing is, her competitive thing is more that she can handle things on her own for her to become successful. Not obviously no or really paying any attention of what teamwork has to offer when you come together, but the ego of wanting to work by yourself. Um, this is interesting because, but she's also a 20-year veteran, so along with Archie and Moto, actually, Moto was, I don't know if he was classified as a vet, but Archie and, um, but initially dismissive, hostile, and selfish. Dismissive meaning that she disses, about joining into playing as a team where she's more of a lone kitty. She's more, they call her a lone wolf, but I'm calling it a lone kitty. Because she's a cat, or lone leopard, or she's selfish that she'll, practice or play by herself. Yeah, often playing solo to prove her prime status before learning to be a team player. But she intensely focuses on her legacy. But as I said, also dealing with challenges and stress from the media, so from social media regarding her age. That's funny that they act because they say cats only have 9 lives, and I feel like that's kind of a reference dedicated to that. Is that she is dealing from media regarding her age, like questioning whether or not she will go past the age of 9, or it's kind of funny and sad at the same time. But she's hostile and dismissive. But she holds limited, what is it? She holds enormity toward new smaller teammate Will, viewing him as a threat to her position. So real defines him as a threat that he's gonna screw her over, screw her over, basically ruin her position, like take over her position. That he could be potentially the leader is what they mean by that. And she has that ego of limiting his time on court just so she can be more in the court on the court than him. But despite her ego, she is a powerful presence and a face of the team figure, often described as a towering athlete. She evolves from a selfish lone kitty, correction there, mentality to realizing the value of teamwork, eventually mentoring others and sharing the spotlight. But this is where people, I feel like, would learn by her of overcoming personal ego to achieve team success. The T in the T in team is everything. Take or take take a lot for the team. Take one for the team. Take some for yourself, but always balance. But there you guys have it. Those are the personalities of each character. Um I would say out of all of them, obviously main attraction is the one I definitely do not have the persona or personality of, because as I said, mocking, bullying, looking down at poor Will, being the newbie, being a lot smaller. He's the character that's looking for world domination, thinking he can destroy everybody here, but everybody here has their own unique skills of playing. In the fact that they've overcome their challenges. Like, Archie can hopefully sleep when he retires. You know, his daughters will be grown up. Moto can be, you know, can still be in charge after Flo's departure. Fillmore can possibly start her own team, and teaching her team that you take the T in team and you take it to heart and follow less on your ego, because you don't have to be alone. You can join the team, you can join your band at any given time. But this movie, I feel like, is going to be a big I would say more of an underdog life story of reality in animation. And it's beautiful to see something like this get created that happens in modern day life. All these personalities are real, they are active in everybody's life. If you all can relate to these guys, it's very important to realize that, to take that in, look at it, observe it. But I am going to get on Call of the Wild, as I promised you guys. I'm probably just gonna see if we can get a American alligator tonight, and possibly even a European bison are pretty easy to spot. But yeah,